Hey, what's going on everyone? How you guys doing today? It's Long here and welcome back to another Steam 2 video. And as you may know, the new season is coming soon, but most importantly, Trials of Osiris is going to be next week, very first weekly trials. So today we're going to be talking about some of the best exotic weapons that I think that you should take into trials. And we're probably just going to focus on special and primary weapons, since the heavies won't really have a big impact on it, since most of the time you're just going to be using your special and your primary. So War Cliff and some of the other exotic heavies are really good. We're not really going to talk about them on this video. But anyways, let's get started with the very first one, which is going to be the Crimson. And I like the Crimson for a couple of different reasons, but the main one has to be use the accessibility of the weapon. It's just a random drop. You can get it from Sir, which is still here, so if you don't have it, maybe go get it. And also use how easy it is to actually use the weapon. The recoil pattern on the Crimson is super easy to control, doesn't really seem to be affected by bloom too much, and it has almost little to no kick. So the only thing that you really have to worry about the Crimson is actually landing those headshots. And since it's so stable, hitting the headshots is not something that's too difficult. As long as you're on target, you're going to be able to hit a lot of headshots, leading to you be able to actually kill people pretty fast. I would think that the Crimson would be all over the place on console, but you actually don't see it too often. You do see it every once in a while, but not as much as I expected it. I just expect it to be all over the place. And it also has a catalyst that you can get, which increases the weapon's range even more. The range on that is just okay without the catalyst, but once you put the catalyst on that thing, it actually becomes really nice, and you have some pretty good range with it. Maybe not just super amazing range, but the range on it is pretty good. Especially for hand cannons that's this stable and this consistent. So that's why I like the Crimson. It's just a very easy weapon to use, and you can achieve that optimal TTK pretty easy because of how easy it is to use. It also comes with built-in healing. Every time you get a kill, you heal. And then it also auto-reloads whenever you get a kill with a headshot, which is going to be most of the time just because of the way the weapon is. So the Crimson is definitely a top tier hand cannon that I definitely see a lot of people using in trials quite a lot. So definitely do not ignore the Crimson. Crimson can be a good one. Alright, next up, moving on from a weapon pretending to be a pulse rifle to an actual pulse rifle, we're going to be talking about Vigilance Wing. Probably a weapon you haven't heard of since Season 3, just because, while it's good, not a lot of people seem to remember it or even try to use it. But this thing was basically designed with trials in mind. Everything about the weapon just screams trials, from the perks to the just actual look at the weapon. It's just trials. This is the trials gun. Like I said, it's still a pretty good weapon. It actually doesn't have a bad TTK, as long as you hit some headshots. That's the thing with the pulse rifles. You gotta make sure you hit some headshots. And this one does feel a bit weird, since it's a 5-round burst, so it takes a little bit to get used to. So like I said, it is actually a pretty solid weapon. It kills people pretty quickly, as long as you're hitting some headshots. That's pretty much the only requirement with any pulse rifle. You gotta hit those headshots to make them, be worth it. Thankfully the recoil of this weapon is not too bad, it's pretty stable. And another thing about this weapon is that you have a lot of range, a lot more range than you would think on this weapon. But where this weapon truly shines, it's with its perks. The first one, it heals you whenever your teammate dies next to you, which is huge, especially in something like Trials, where it could make a difference between winning a round or losing a round, just getting that extra bit of health. So getting a heal mid-fight is going to be amazing, and could definitely make a difference in a round. And the other perk that also helps this weapon out is that when you're the final Guardian standing, when you're all that's left in the team, you actually gain a buff to your stability, your handling speed, and you also get increased recovery. So when you're making your last stand, you get like a power-up version of this weapon. So you can have a bit of an advantage, and hopefully you can clutch the round. So because of that, I actually really like this weapon. I think that this one is actually really good in trials. I'm definitely going to be trying this out. Depending on the map. If it's kind of like a mid to long range map, then this weapon is definitely going to shine in that map. It also has a catalyst, which makes the weapon full auto. The full auto actually kind of throws it off for me a bit, so I tend not to use it even though I have it on. But if you're a fan of full auto pulse rifles and think that maybe it makes the weapon feel more consistent to you, then definitely try to get that full auto catalyst on this thing. Next up, we're going to be talking about a fusion rifle, and the one that we're talking about is the newest one in Destiny, the Bastion. The Bastion is good for a couple of things, but the main thing that I want to focus on is just the use ridiculous shutdown potential and use close range power. You output so much damage with the Bastion that you delete supers or delete multiple people with just one shot because you output just so much damage at close range. It is ridiculous the amount of damage you can output with the Bastion, so you can go through supers, go through multiple people, go through Titan barriers, and kill the Titan behind the barrier with the same shot. It is just a ridiculous amount of damage. So that makes the weapon very good at close range, and also use an anti-super weapon. If you don't like dealing with roaming supers, then the Bastion is what you want to use. You either kill the super, or leave them so low where your teammates can just finish them off. That's basically two outcomes when you have the Bastion on. Something that I find that's really good about the Bastion is that it is a kinetic fusion rifle. So you can actually take advantage of all the energy primaries that you may like, that before you couldn't really run with a fusion rifle. So that's something else that really gives the Bastion an advantage. So I think the Bastion is going to be a very powerful and just very good weapon to run in trials for some of the short range maps. For long range maps, it's probably not going to be super useful. It will still be useful against roaming supers, but it won't be useful as much as it would be in a close range map. And next up, we're going to be talking about an auto rifle. And I'm sure most of you guys thought I was going to talk about the Osiris. And yes, the Osiris is also good. But I want to highlight the Hard Light. The Hard Light, it's really amazing how a weapon can go from being really bad to really good by simply just removing the screen shake. This is a 600 auto rifle that's pretty good already right now, but it's even gonna get a small damage buff when the actual season starts. So this thing is gonna get even better. Even though, like I said, it's pretty good already. You have just unlimited range. You never have to deal with damage drop off on the Hard Light. You have very stable weapon. It is crazy stable now. I really like it. It kills pretty quickly. It has a pretty good TTK. And since it's super stable, you can make sure that you always take those headshots. And it also has those ricochet rounds that deal bonus damage if you actually manage to, bounce them off the wall. Which is kind of a niche thing. You won't all the time be able to take advantage of ricochet rounds. But when you do actually hit someone with ricochet rounds or kill someone with them, it's amazing. So while they're not useful in every fight, they can come in pretty handy at specific situations. But besides that, the Hard Light is just a really good weapon now. It's just a really solid weapon. Good TDK, good stability. It just handles really good. It's just a good feeling weapon that kills pretty fast. That's pretty much it. If you like auto rifles, the Hard Light's probably gonna be your go-to. This or the Osiris, they're both really good auto rifles that I wouldn't be surprised if you see in trials. The Hard Light and Osiris, I'm sure you're gonna see them. Now next up, let's talk about the Lemon Arc. And you know I love my bows, so you know I have to put this in there somewhere. And the Lemon Arc is a very team-oriented weapon. You put a lot of damage into people, and then your teammates, you get some easy kills just by cleaning up the people that you damage. Since you can output 180 damage with the Lemon Arc if you hit a headshot plus the poison. And even if you're not activating the poison every time, you will still be outputting like 150 damage on someone, which leaves them pretty much one shot or two from a hand cannon. So you can just wait for someone, smack them with the bow, and then your teammates can just easily clean them up. And that's basically what you do when you have a bow. All you're trying to do is not really go for kills, but just go for damage and trying to damage the enemy every time that they just peek or show their head. You just try to put in some damage into some people. So if you have some coordination with your team, the bows can actually be super powerful. They're used very underrated. I don't see a lot of people use them. But if used in the right situations, the bows are scary. Very, very scary weapons, the bows. And what you can do pretty much the same thing with a legendary bow. The thing that makes the Lemonarch useful is the poison, because it stops health regen and it leaves people low on health for longer. When they're getting poison and they just keep taking that little bit of tick damage, they won't be able to regen, just like the Thorn, so they get to stay out of the fight for a bit longer. Or if they took maybe even one shot of damage, you could probably hit them in the head and just kill them with the poison. That's why I think the Lemonarch is really good, and that's why I would take it over some of the legendary bows, even though the legendary bows are also pretty good. And I think that with that, that's gonna be our final weapon that we're gonna be talking about in this video. And I know, there's a lot of really good exotic weapons. A lot of you guys, I think, are gonna say, why didn't you talk about the Thorn? Which I was gonna put in there, but I didn't want to put 2 hand cannons. But yeah, the Thorn is really good. I don't think you guys need me to tell you why the Thorn is good. Poison, good range, 150. It's the Thorn. It's the Thorn. But if you guys have any other weapon suggestions, other good exotic weapons that I think are gonna be good in trials, make sure to leave them in the comments below. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.